How do we trigger positivity when we're feeling so negative?
The first thing is you have to have awareness around it. That's
Mm.
true for all change. In order to change anything, you have to have awareness. So you're like, oh, look, here I'm doing this again. And then what is it that I need to focus on in this moment? The first part is you're just aware of it and you catch yourself and you decide. It's literally a decision. Oh, I'm not going to focus on this. I'm going to focus on something else. So the third thing is that you have to look for abundance and blessings. You have to seek them out. This can be as simple as I have enough toothpaste in this tube to last me I'm not going to need to buy toothpaste for 3 whole weeks. I am so abundant. Like it's focusing on the things that are going well. And if you don't have anything, you get outside and you get in nature and you go for a walk and you look at all the flowers that are surrounding you, all the trees, all the sounds, and you just start to get grateful for all of those things because that works too. So if you're feeling like you got nothing, get out in nature, get off your screen and go listen and pay attention and find the abundance in nature if you can't find it in yourself because we're all connected.
I'm giggling because I went to my camera roll
Mhm.
this morning. Guess what I saw on there?
I'm nervous. If your camera roll looks anything like my camera roll,
Well,
your chin.
no, no, no. It's you. I have video and photos of you from girls' night recently when we went for dinner last week. And I have photos of you walking down a very busy street in our city, brushing your teeth.
I remember this clearly. Now, listen, listener, you're going to think that girls' night and this very silly thing happened because I was intoxicated. I was not. I was completely sober and stay completely sober 99% of the time. But here's what happened. I have had the most intense schedule. I am up and going from 4 o'clock in the morning, usually till 11 or midnight.
Yes.
This is just the season I'm in. And it's like this usually till the end of the first week of December. And then things slow down. Summertime, I got lots of time on my hands, but fall and winter, I do not. And we were planning on going out for dinner. We all
Mhm.
hadn't seen each other in a couple of months. And I was flying in hot. I didn't shower. Like I hadn't showered yet. It was like one of those things that, okay, after I get these first 2 meetings done, then I'm in a shower.
Yeah.
And then they went long. And then the next, it just was like that thing where it snowballs. So I hadn't showered. I brushed my teeth at 4 o'clock in the morning and it was now 6 p.m. And I like to brush my teeth a few times a day, as you know. I was feeling rank. And so when everybody's texting in the group thread about what's the dress code, I'm like, heads up, I am in leggings and a sweatshirt and I feel super gross. And our amazing friend Jen shows up with a little baggie of treats for me. There was deodorant in there. There was a toothbrush and toothpaste. There was some floss. She was like, I just thought you might want to freshen up. It was like the nicest gift. She's the most thoughtful person. She's just so kind. And so after dinner, you better believe when we were walking from dinner to the place where we walked to have dessert, I gave myself a brushing.
Well, I mean, it was very thoughtful. Of course, Jen did that. It was very thoughtful and it was cute and it was funny and it was all the things. But most people would take the nice little goodie bag and go to the washroom. And there, where there is a sink and a mirror and all the things that you find in a bathroom where one typically brushes their teeth, that's where you would think Erin would go. She did not. I have this in my hand, and whilst walking, everybody, I'm going to just give my teeth a quick scrub.
Here's the truth. I did not go to the bathroom when we were there, so I don't know where the bathroom is or what it looks like because I didn't
Yeah.
need to use the bathroom. And I forgot about the bag because we put it on the floor and then, we're all in our conversation. So it wasn't until we were leaving and she handed it to me again. I was like, oh, yeah. So I was well out the door when I was like, I'm going to brush. And also, the truth is, I mean, your friends are looking at you and the odd person on the street, but everybody's concerned with themselves. I could have done a number of ridiculous things and most people wouldn't notice. You, on the other hand, videotaped it for everybody to see
That's
or
right.
recorded it, I guess would be the right word if we were born in a year other than the 1900s. But most people don't notice. Nobody was like, hey, teeth brushing. Like, nobody notices. And
Yeah,
you can get away with a lot when you just take care of what you need to take care of.
I think maybe though there were a few people that did a double take. I felt like there was a few little whisperings, like you were walking by, so, and they were, where you sort of you see something, but you can't believe what you saw. You're like, was she just brushing her teeth?
That's right. I
That
was
was
minty fresh for dessert. It was great.
Ooh, this one's just a nice, easy breezy question from Mandy today. Mandy says, I first saw you on Unleash Her Power Within when you trained with us, and I deeply think you are magic around money. I agree, Mandy. She is. She goes on to say, my question is, how do you stay positive and in a high vibe feeling when you have a moment of doubt about money or not enough money?
I love this. I feel like we get a question like this every couple of months about money vibes.
Yeah, vibes, man. We've got some vibes.
Money vibes. Okay. Well, you don't need to be in a high vibe feeling to master money all the time. I think that's the first place we need to sort of go. It's okay to have negative feelings. It's okay to feel like things aren't awesome. There's information there in those feelings, and that's what we have to listen to. So I'm really cautious around this high vibe way of thinking because it's not always healthy. And I know you're not talking about toxic positivity here. You're actually saying like you want to vibrate energetically at a frequency that's, healthy and going to attract abundance. But when you are in a low energetic state around money, something's going on. And there's so much information there. Most people try and numb that out. So they'll overspend or they will do all kinds of things to sort of numb out the feeling of the discomfort that the lack of money brings. But it's good to pay attention to that because that shows you what area you need to work on. So it's totally okay that you're not in a high vibe state all the time. But what we want to pay attention to is what is the pattern that takes you from wherever it is you are into that low vibe state. So if you think back to the last few times that you've sort of been in this moment of doubt about money or feeling like there's not enough, what happened right before it? Sometimes it's, I'm out shopping and I want to buy something, but I know I don't have the money. And then I go to the mall and I don't have enough money. Maybe shopping is the trigger. And so the solution for that would be get the heck out of the malls
Mhm.
for a season. Spend some time shifting that pattern. That can be one thing. Maybe it's, every time you get a bill in the mail or whatever. So maybe the answer is you only look at your bills on Fridays and you deal with them when you open the bill. You don't just open it, look at it, and feel depressed for a few days. You open them when you're going to deal with them. If you're getting it electronically, you would have all your bills go to a separate email account, and then you log into that email account on the day that you're ready to deal with the money, which you can't say next year. You have to pick a regular date to pay attention to it. But you have to remember that you're in control of all of that. And whatever the pattern is that's causing you to feel this way is a pattern you can shift and change. And because you saw me speak at this group, which by the way, if I ever come and speak at your office or at your conference, I become obsessed with you. Like I want you to win. And so usually people end up in our environment after I've gone and talked or whatever, because we've built this relationship. We're now together on this journey of financial wellness. So if you think I'm just going to stroll in, talk, and leave, you're wrong because we are doing our spreadsheets together, friends. We are, we're increasing that net worth. And I'll check in with you a month later. We are doing it. Because you met me at Unleash Her Power Within, that's sort of the Tony Robbins environment. So I'm going to speak to you in Tony Robbins type language. Okay. So everything that I'm about to share is something he would probably say. And the first thing is, do you want more? I know you do. Why wouldn't you want more? More
Or
of this,
what? What do I
more,
want more of?
more of this. Come
Oh.
hang out in the online course, Forget the Hell Out of Debt. The link is in the description. You just got to click it, sign up, and we'll see you in there. First thing is, you need to focus on what you want to happen. What you're doing when you're focusing on having not enough is you're focusing on the lack. And what we have to do is focus on what it is that we want to happen, and we have to get ourselves in a state of certainty that it will happen. And that can be as simple as thinking ahead to, I cannot wait till the day I have an abundance of cash flow that opening bills isn't stressful. Or
Mhm.
even better, I am on my way to a life where opening bills isn't stressful. Focus on what you want to happen. So when you catch yourself focused on the negative, all you do then, you just make a decision and you shift your thinking and focus on the other thing. And people will say, well, that's really hard to do. My mind always goes back. Well, that's because you've trained it. to look at
Mhm.
the lack. So we have to train it now and focus to look at the abundance or the potential for abundance. The second thing that you want to make sure you're doing is you have to celebrate the tiniest things. And people don't do this enough. We will beat ourselves up over our stupid mistakes. We will totally beat ourselves up, but we have to celebrate the littlest wins too. And we have to stack that habit so it has a greater, bigger effect on our money than focusing on the negative. I was recently doing a real estate transaction at the lawyers, they're doing their statement of adjustments and all of this. And he goes, "Oh, and we have to pay out this tax bill." I'm like, "Tax bill?" He's like, "Yeah, you haven't paid your taxes, your property taxes on this."
What?
I was like, "I beg your pardon. I have record that I blah, 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 blah." So he pulls up this roll number and I look it up and it's for a parking stall. So this one condominium has two tax payments attached, a tax payment for the actual condo and a tax payment for the parking stall, which
Uh-huh.
I know because that's how my city has done it for 30 years. And I always know that in a condominium, if there's a titled parking stall, the titled parking stall also has a tax payment associated with it. I was $69 behind. I know.
Oh, no.
But do you know what that would have blown up to if we hadn't caught it? Once I figured it out and my face dropped and I was like, I know better than that. How did I lose track of that? I don't know what's wrong with me, whatever. I sort of had this moment. And then I stopped and I stood up and I put my hands in the air. I'm like, we caught it in time. That could have been disastrous. Because of course, the city can put a lien on your property. You can lose your property, even if you're up to date on your mortgage payments. The city can take it. If you don't pay your taxes, you're in big trouble. Taxes are first, the
Yeah.
first charge on a land title. The government is anyway. Anything the government wants is first charge. The mortgage comes next. But I was like, whoa. So he was like looking at me really straight because I went in one moment from being like, oh, so stupid. How did I not know $69? To all of a sudden, like, yes, thank God it wasn't so
Yeah.
much worse. And I focused on that. And then, of course, immediately left there and set myself up with the city to make the payments come automatically out of my account. But mistakes happen. It's not always going to go smoothly. So when you can find something to celebrate, you must celebrate it.
Mhm.
It's so vital to this whole process of changing what you're calling these vibes. Think about when a little baby is learning to speak and they do the littlest thing. They say mama or whatever. We all freak out. What do? We all applaud. And then the baby starts applauding and then we clap even more. I mean, that's some pretty basic stuff there that baby's doing, right? But a huge milestone for that baby. But we're celebrating every little thing. And so children at that age, generally, like when they experience joy, they experience joy. When they're
Mhm.
sad, they're very sad. They have a full range, and that gets beat out of us as we get older to the place where we become these monotonous, boring people who are shoving down emotions, sometimes with donuts, sometimes with Southern Comfort. But we're stuffing these emotions down and not allowing ourselves to experience the full range of emotions. But that's important because that's where the information lies.
Mhm.
If you don't allow yourself to celebrate and feel good and experience all the little wins, you're not allowing yourself access to the information that could potentially change your financial future.
Mm.
So you're going to celebrate the tiniest things. Like, what's a tiny win you can think of? An example of a tiny win? We have lots of them in group, but do you have a personal one?
I'm such a negative Nancy. This is really hard for me. So I already really like this episode. My brain always goes to the negative first, always. And so am still working on this. Just for anybody listening, just know that this is like a work in progress. It's not something that happens overnight, and I've really got to train my brain.
Did you send this email in and pretend your name is Mandy?
No, but I'm like, Mandy, I feel you, friend. I got you because I'm right there with you. I need more high vibes for sure. I think for me, I'm an impulse buyer.
Mhm.
So, one of the things that I'm doing lately is I'm ordering groceries online because I'm staying away from the impulse thing. And then when I get to that final number in my cart, the total, I'm so proud of myself that it's not a huge number. Like I'm saving so much by ordering my groceries online.
Yeah. So that deserves a run around the kitchen with your hands in the air. What? Right? Like your favorite NHL hockey team just won the Stanley Cup. That's the kind of joy you have to put into these little things if we expect to transition them in time. We have to put that type of energy into them. And we have to do it for each other. So if you have a partner, Mandy, celebrating your partner's little wins too. My challenge, this is not a money one, but my car keys are
Oh,
a challenge in our marriage because I can never find them. Do you know why? I maintain it's because we don't need to put keys in the ignition of a vehicle anymore. We have to
yep.
put them in a pocket or something, and I can never find them. And my dude, who has the most amount of patience in the world, will find them in various places and always puts them back at the front door because I go looking for them at the front door. It's not where I left them, but it's somehow a magical key fairy must be taking them and putting them at the front door. It's a gift of love. It's an act of love he does for me. But when I remember where I put my keys, I celebrate that. I'm like, you are, look at you today. You are on fire. Look at you. You knew where your keys were. Oh, like soak it in and I celebrate it. And it's happening less and less now that I'm losing my keys because I'm trading myself to think that I'm awesome at remembering where I put my keys. So it
Mm.
doesn't even have to be financially related, but we have to watch that self-talk. And it's important that you know that you're not a negative Nancy. That's a natural human response. It's the thing that kept us alive back in the day of the saber-toothed tiger. You looking out for danger and looking out for what was wrong kept your family alive. It's just not really a useful thing when we're in the age of you can order your groceries online. Your saber-toothed tiger is not going to come get you. So we just have to train our brains to think differently. That's all.
When we're in that negative space, like, how do we trigger positivity when we're feeling so negative?
Well, it's a choice. So the first thing is you have to have awareness around it. That's
Mhm.
true for all change. In order to change anything, you have to have awareness. So you're like, oh, look, here I'm doing this again. And then you ask yourself, what is it that I need to focus on in this moment? And usually you have to do a number of other things, which I'll get to in a minute. But the first part is you're just aware of it and you catch yourself and you decide. It's literally a decision. Oh, I'm not going to focus on this. I'm going to focus on something else. So the third thing is that you have to look for abundance and blessings. You have to seek them out. And this is something that you actually have to do all the time. So it's not just when you're thinking negative, you look around and you're like, what's a blessing? What's a blessing? What's a blessing? Right? You have to start your day looking for blessings. You have to start your day looking for abundance. You have to end your day looking for abundance. People will talk about gratitude practices that they have. Those work. They work. Sitting down and writing 3 things you're thankful for at the end of every day is a really great way to get wealthy. You still have to manage all the other things, but it's a great place to start from a mindset perspective. So this can be as simple as, let's say you've no money in your bank account, credit cards are maxed out, and you're trying to change things, right? And you're like, okay, it's not just a matter of thinking positive. We have to acknowledge what's really true. But then what we do is we go, oh, look at this. I have enough toothpaste in this tube. I'm not going to need to buy toothpaste for 3 whole weeks. I am so abundant. It's focusing on the things that are going well. And then you look around some more and you're like, oh, we got enough TP. I can go number 2 4 times a day for the next 6 months and we're good. Whatever it is, whatever you have to dig in and find. And if you don't have anything, you get outside and you get in nature and you go for a walk and you look at all the flowers that are surrounding you, all the trees, all the sounds, and you just start to get grateful for all of those things because that works too. So if you're feeling like you got nothing, get out in nature, get off your screen and go listen and pay attention and find the abundance in nature if you can't find it in yourself because we're all connected. The next thing, number 4, is you would spend time being still. We don't do this enough.
Mm-mm.
Society. And I'm in a season right now where it's very, very hard to be still. So I have to intentionally put it into my schedule.
Wait, do you mean still with my cell phone?
No, nope, doesn't count.
I knew you were going to say that.
No, thinking time is really important. Trying not to distract yourself with even a crossword puzzle. Just sit and think. And if you can't, one of the greatest places to do this is in the shower.
Mhm.
As long as you don't have somebody banging on the door being like, hurry up in there. But if you can just like stand in the shower and stare at the wall and think, you're going to have creative thoughts come to you. And what's cool about those things is usually they will be connected. Creativity is always connected to abundance. Lack is always connected to a lack of creativity. So ideas can flow, conversations that you need to have. You ever have a fake conversation with somebody in the shower and you're like, okay, now I know how I'm going to, right? All of those things can happen when we're still. It's so important that we find that space and time, ideally daily, but at least every couple of days. That's going to help you shift that from what you don't have to potentially what you do have. So, still in the shower, hot water on your back and your butt, and just think for a little bit. Give yourself an extra few minutes in the shower. The fifth thing is, of course, you're going to do your net worth and get your numbers together for your cash flow plan, right? For your budget. Now, this high vibe feeling when you have a moment of doubt, you shift it because you have to focus on what you do have or what's possible. But we get low vibe oftentimes when we don't know. It's
Mhm.
the not knowing sometimes. It's the fear of actually looking into things. The amount of times somebody has said to me, I was so afraid to do my net worth. And then I did it and it wasn't as bad as I thought. And then they get excited and then they start going. The amount of times somebody says that to me, oh my gosh, daily that happens. So sometimes it's about really digging in to figure out what's true. And as you know, Mandy, your budget's entire job is to make the net worth go up. So even if you're having a challenge with a certain part of your budget and things aren't working, looking at it will help you get creative around what can you do? What can you move around? What is possible for you? Maybe this month you're doing the pantry Olympics and you're just trying to find things in your pantry that you can sustain yourself on for a few extra days. And that is an abundant mindset. That's a high vibe mindset. Whatever you can do to move things around so that your net worth goes up is the thing that's going to keep you in that high vibe frequency. So that might be putting a little bit extra money on debt to pay it down, or a little bit extra money to buy an asset. And then the last one, and this one definitely comes from your Tony Robbins environment, is that you absolutely need to change your state or your physiology. So there's usually a pattern here. When you feel low vibe, as you call it, it's because you've trained yourself to be low vibe when it comes to money. So what you have to do when you're dealing with money is you got to change the way you're dealing with it. So that's why we tell you when you're doing your net worth or when you're doing your budget, you're going to put on some awesome tunes. You're going to get yourself your favorite mug or your favorite water bottle. Maybe you make a certain lemonade that you love, or I don't even care. If you want a glass of wine, have a glass of wine, just only one because you're dealing with numbers here and we got to make some good decisions. But make it a moment. Light some candles, sit up straight, put a smile on your face, and get excited about what you're about to do. That's so important. Sometimes, even if you're sitting for a long time, like let's say you're sitting on the couch and you're scrolling and you're checking your bank balance and you're feeling gross, get up and go for a walk, come back, sit down in front of a computer and change the way you're doing it.
Mhm.
Change your approach. But the way your body shows up makes such a huge difference. If you're sitting there with slumped shoulders and you're hunched over your keyboard like a gargoyle, how do you think you're going to feel about money when you're like this, right? So sometimes just changing your body really
Mhm.
changes the way things start to flow. And so change your physiology, get up, dance, shake your booty, do what you got to do, go for a walk, come back, and then deal with it in a different state. Train yourself out of the old habits, out of the old patterns of being. And all of that combined is going to change the way you relate to money and how money relates to you.
I like to set a timer for 3 minutes when I just need like a break and just to change things up. And I just go and tidy and move stuff and clean up and whatever I've been putting off. Like maybe it's just the pan that's sitting in the sink that I haven't washed. I will set a timer for 3 minutes and go get as much done as I can. It's amazing what you can accomplish in 3 minutes. I look at the pan like all morning. I'm like, ugh, I don't want to deal with that. It does not take long to clean the pan. I don't know what it is, but when I set like a parameter and I'm like, I'm only going to do this for 3 minutes, it feels so good when I look around and see what I've accomplished.
Songs are so much shorter now, but back
Mm,
when I worked in radio, they were about 3 minutes and 30 seconds.
yeah.
So you knew if this Paul Brandt country song is 3 minutes and 30 seconds, you got to pee and be back to change the song before it ends, right? Because otherwise there's going to be dead air.
Yeah.
So I know how much you can get done in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. And it is a lot, even if you accidentally lock yourself out in the hallway with your swipe card. that you forgot on your desk, and then you have to walk down some stairs and then come up the other stairs to get back to the control room in time. I'm telling you, miracles can happen. But 3 minutes can absolutely change your state. It really doesn't take long at all. And again, most of the time, it's just a decision.
I think you could probably at least brush your teeth twice in 3 minutes.
Yeah, I could. Game on.